Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Just give us a minute. I'm trying to get ready, running a little bit behind. We have a very hot topic for you guys. A lot of things happening. And first and foremost, again, thank you so much for joining us. Um, uh, in the dark with me is T. I think my colleague Kana will also shortly join us. Here you are. And you actually, you muted yourself. I was like,
Yeah, my headphones are not connecting. I don't know why.
oh, then
But is the echo still there?
of course it's gonna be there, but that's fine. Like when you finish talking, you can just mute yourself.
Okay.
Can
Uh,
get
I only have this wireless mic, so I'll mute myself whenever I'm not talking.
okay. Replace. Okay. Okay, T. It is another Wednesday, October. What is it? 5th? October 6th. October 6th. We are back on day 2 over our Slack, and I think Kana's having an internet issue. He's texting me, he's messaging me. But you saw the topics, and those are very big topic each, which means we can talk about only about maybe 5 or 6 minutes each of on those topics. Feel free to add them. Those topics are CNN just wrote a very nice piece article on AGO, African Growth Opportunity Act. That is the Chinese government just hired a lobbyist, a Chinese firm hired lobbyists on behalf of the UN government. So you know how deep China's been obviously benefiting from this AGO, and that's why they are spending more money because the IB people also hired lobbyists just about a month ago. And I also want to actually talk about a Facebook whistleblower who testified in Congress. It's like it made my morning. I actually woke up very early this morning and I was reading about it, and it's crazy because we as Oromo community, especially Oromo activists, have been targeted directly by Facebook that we know the Ethiopian government is behind it. And then also, UN Security Council is going to be meeting for the 10th time on Tigray. The last item I want to talk about is the I think article that just came out about Khmer people. I think that's very important. I want us to cover this big four. Oh, here I didn't see Can these four topics, and why don't you say good morning to my people, and then we can go from there.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. It's great to be here again with the Ollaa team and the executive director Senadim Jimo and our wonderful Kenna, who's trying his best to join. I know he has issues with network, but it's great to be here today. These are very critical and hot topics, and we will not bite the agenda that the government is trying to set us. We're not talking about coronation day appointments and things like that. We talk about the real issue that is at hand. So I'm happy to be part of this conversation today.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to see that we are like that's definitely not on our agenda. Kana, welcome. It's good to have you. I don't know if you heard me in the background. We have a big 4 topics. The goal is to cover that in 30 minutes. And then also T, we have people commenting, so we are able to see comments from Murtena, Ararso. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. The 4 topics, if you have heard of it, if not, just say good morning and then we can jump in. Feel free to jump in the first topic about AGO, African Growth Opportunity Act, and take a shot at it. And then I'll go to T and then I'll come back to myself.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I had the topic, and I'm excited to contribute because I prepared it earlier a bit. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, T, why don't you go first?
All right, just to give a little background for those of our audience that are not familiar with uh, African Growth and Opportunity Act. It's an act that was signed in 2000 to kind of strengthen the economic ties between the U.S. and sub-Saharan Africans, some select few sub-Saharan Africans, and that expired in 2015. However, is renewed by President Obama for another 10 years, so it's in effect until 2025. And this, in short, the hope of this agreement is to it's more like an aid. It's more like an aid for these sub-Saharan Africans. It's a trade agreement. It's not a free trade agreement, but it's a preferential trade agreement, which will not take away tariffs completely, but will give a reduced tariff for these countries and kind of strengthen their economy. Ethiopia, in particular, have exported under this agreement about $239 million worth of goods in 2019, and as of June to 2021, that figure is about 128.7 million. So Ethiopia has been benefiting, one of the countries that's benefiting from this African Growth and Opportunity Act. And this is reviewed every year by the U.S., and they will submit a report which countries are still eligible to receive this or to be part of this agreement. And Ethiopia is in jeopardy of losing this privilege because of many atrocities and crimes that Ethiopia is being committed. As everybody know, in May, the U.S. has placed visa restrictions and economic sanctions on Ethiopia, but now it's going to be even very stricter. I think it's going to be recommended, in my opinion, that Ethiopia be removed from this privilege because of many atrocities that's been, especially. I mean, I can name one, Sena, that's to finish my talk. If you guys remember when the civil war started, Abiy Ahmed, he already knew that the war is going to start, and he signed this peace agreement with Eritrea. Everybody thought, oh wow, this is a very good thing for the region. But Abiy had a plan since day one to use Eritrea to fight Tigray. And we know that for sure now because as soon as the war broke out in November, multiple Ethiopian civil cargo planes and passenger airlines have been transporting military goods to Eritrea so that they can arm Eritrean armies to come and commit a lot of atrocities in Tigray against the people of Tigray, the civilians of Tigray. And of course, as it's customary, Ethiopian government has denied on a couple of occasions that has happened. But there are multiple documents and evidence that show that Ethiopian government did actually engage on those activities. These are very criminal activities, and they're against, it's a violation of international aviation laws. So, really, I know Sena wants to attack it from a different angle. I will let you attack it from the angle. But in my opinion, Ethiopia will not be eligible to be part of this African Growth Opportunity Act for very long because of various atrocities, including the one I just mentioned. I will leave it at that right now, and Sena, you guys can kind of chime in and also introduce the other angles that are involved in this.
Okay.
Next.
Let's take 2 minutes, and just that way we can cover all the topics that I want us to talk. Go ahead and take a shot at it, and then I'll come back and talk about the alcohol.
Yeah, I would like only to add that U.S. has done this to Cameroon during the Trump, period, because of gross human rights violation happening in the part of Cameroon, and because of that, Cameroon was suspended, and it happened that it really affected their business, trade partnership with the United States. But because if you see the relationship or the trade, volume that USA has with Ethiopia compared to Cameroon, USA and Ethiopia trade partnership is so, US and Ethiopia got a lot bigger than what's Cameroon exporting, or importing from US. Ethiopia got its economy depend more on even exporting it to US because of the long diplomatic relationship with US, and because of maybe the only part where Ethiopia will get, rescues from the other, trading partners like China, Russia, that may be coming on their side once US does that. But because of the gross human rights violation, I think it has been exposed many times, the atrocities committed in Oromia reported previously by Amnesty, the currently, genocide going on in Tigray. the killing that is not reported in part of Oromia currently going on, this is going to get definitely, take action. And this is not the first time, and I believe it is not going to be the last time. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Now's my turn. I'll take just like Kana 2 minutes to talk about it. So as TC Ago is like a little bit over 20 years, and it's a little bit actually encompasses the whole of continent of Africa. And the goal, it was signed under President Bush, is to give Africa benefits of to trade with America. So they are tax exempt. They're not tax exempt. They don't pay for importing. And it's not 100 and 200 million. It's almost $1 billion that Ethiopia benefits every year just from this. And they get another benefit millions for almost $1 billion through direct aid from US aid. So Ethiopia benefits so much from AGO than I don't know any other, maybe Egypt that benefits more, but no other country in the continent of Africa that benefits from AGO as much as Ethiopia for many, many historical diplomatic relationships that Ethiopia and the US have. And the reason why China is so desperate, because China uses Ethiopia to import some of their own good to America. So it's not, so China uses Ethiopia as a gateway, because they bring things even Chinese made or even made in Ethiopia by Chinese. Here's the funny thing about China. China, when they have a business in Africa, not only that they paid $0 or maybe a quarter of a penny per hours, they bring their own employee from China to occupy. And Chinese is known to committed so many rapes that I know in small villages. I know women, I know a family member who have been sexually assaulted by a Chinese employee that the Ethiopian government have not done anything. Chinese comes in and out of Ethiopia as if that's like extension of China. China is directly colonizing East Africa. You might as well expand it at that. So AGO is going to hurt them very, very much. That's why they're fighting very hard. I don't want to go over too much, but that is so important because that is now under review. And CNN, I've covered it very good because, once CNN is on you, you see what happened. Even if the White House want to back out, even if the Congress want to slow down, the CNN put you on the spot, you have to respond. So the Biden administration is going to be pushed very hard from the CNN, from the there's no bigger media that pushes, and they are very into it because the fact that the US is not taking radical action against the Ethiopian government in the light of genocide, in the light of crime against humanity that's happening against the people of Tigray. And so I think that's what the push is, and I loved it. And it's sad because even Ethiopian government wrote to the US government saying that I think it's the Bellany, the lady, so the press lady for Abiy, she said this is going to take 100,000 jobs from women. Like, you should have thought about that. Like, she said, if you cut this, it's going to take up 100 or 200,000 or even a million. I don't know how many employees that's going to take away from women. If Ethiopian government have thought about this is going to affect them, maybe you shouldn't have raped so many women in Tigray. You shouldn't have raped so many, and you shouldn't have done the crime you did across the country, not just only in Tigray. Something similar is happening. It's just not getting attention. I think I'll kind of chip in. I'll say something is that I'm very, very happy about the draft resolution on the Europe side, because it talks about not just about Tigray, but expands much bigger. At the plenary meeting yesterday, they talked about the issue is much bigger than Tigray. And I'm hopeful the US government will really understand that you cannot address the issue of Ethiopia in Tigray, Ethiopia simply by focusing in Tigray. That is not, it did not start there, it will not in there. Abiy, obviously, in my opinion, there's nothing that anybody can do. A, remove him by force. B, is literally supported the democratic movement, because over the weekend we have a Recha festival where thousands of Oromo youth came out and protested. Those young people today, they are being arrested, they've been hunted down. Many have died, many are already arrested, and we've seen the kind of military presence in Addis over the weekend as if that's a war zone. So if the US is really interested, if the international community is really interested to bring a difference to Ethiopia, I think they have to support this democratic movement, because nothing scares Abiy like seeing young Oromo people protest, because Oromo people is like a sea of water that they don't, no weapon, no military can stop. Abiy is also one of the weakest leader Ethiopia have had at this point. Only in 3 years in power, he had lost, I don't know, 80-90% of his capability from military. But whatever left over, he's making sure there is no uprising in Oromia. Nothing scares Abiy. He doesn't really care, in my opinion, what's happening in Tigray and the northern part of the country. For him, they are too far away. For him, in fact, if they want to secede, they can secede. They can do whatever they want. He can care less. He's obviously using the Amhara force, but Amhara are complicit. Amhara regional government are complicit. In fact, they are the puppet that kind of push Abiy, in my opinion. I think it's an opinion of many people, to start this war to begin with, because they want to do revenge. Nevertheless, it doesn't matter. But Abiy doesn't really care what's happening to Amhara people. He's using Amhara as a leverage against Tigray to simply wipe out the Tigray. Once he's done with the Amhara, he's like, you better listen to me. And I think he allowed the Erecha festival to be celebrated the way it's celebrated, to show off to the Amharas that Oromos are this bad. You better not, disrespect me or try to say nothing. Because I was so surprised there was nothing against Erecha. Every year, the Amhara government, the Amhara activists, the Amhara people used to, I don't know, make fun of this holiday, this festival. But this year, they zip their mouth. What does that say to you? To me, it says two things. One, the direction comes from the top, from the palace, for the Amharas to insult Oromos. It doesn't come in its own. It comes at the direction. And second, I also learned that how weak the Amharas are, because they are at the mercy of Abiy. If Abiy tells them to zip it, they are willing to zip it. So that's one thing I got from Richard. And the reason I'm bringing these two together is that Ago does affect big time, not just Ethiopia, it affects Chinese. And Chinese is only interested to rape the natural resource of Africa. For as long as the rape of natural resource of Africa remains, China will continue to expand. And I think the US have an opportunity to expand. Africans love the US. Africans love the Western because of its democracy. And I definitely took more than the 2 minutes I say. So next one, I'll try and make short. Okay. Did I freeze? Okay, but I don't know. T, I'm so sorry. I took a little, because I kind of covered.
No, I'm glad you covered it. Yeah. I'm glad you said what needed to be said. So.
Yeah, I think I forgot to put on our topic. The Erecha is something we should have talked. We had a 2 press release over the weekend, right before the Erecha festival, and then also after the Erecha festival, where we know people have died. We know a lot of people have been arrested, including command executive committees have been arrested. And then Daniel, thank you so much. I know the only thing that matters, if you see the comments from people, he says it's the winning. So the goal is how do we win? What do we make? I think what angle should the US, should the Western, or should the international community take to bring Abiy to the table? Because right now, as you can see, he's having a party while the people of Tigray are dying from hunger, from starvation. Okay, let's jump into, I don't think we can cover for topic, but let's jump into the Facebook whistleblower testimony. Kana, since you didn't start first, go ahead on this one. I'll go to T, and then I'll come back to myself.
Yeah, I've seen that report from the Facebook whistleblower, and this is not the first time that people from Facebook are complaining about how Facebook portrays the benefit of other misleading human rights violation, incitement violence, and other issues that. But what in this case, what concerned me most is that Facebook, the whistleblower talk about how the Facebook has channeled ethnic violence in Ethiopia, and intentionally even government also targeting journalists, activists, and all those spies, and setting up the spy and everything. So in this case, the one that's coming out that is many government in the world is targeting activism and activist journalism, and also whistleblowers, and Ethiopia is not in this case Ethiopia is no exception. That it's coming out, and the ethnic violence has always been contributed through propaganda, and also other Facebook leaving other people to encourage hatred on Facebook, but targeting, for example, in this case Oromos. Most of the time their posts are removed, but other incitement message against Oromo public or mass is always stay on Facebook, and that is the main concern coming about equality. Where is equality on this? Why is it discrimination is encouraged on Facebook? Yeah, I leave it to that.
Thank you, Kana.
Yeah, the whistleblower Francis presented several documents that show that Facebook is putting chink chink money cash above anything else. Uh, they know some of the shortfalls of their platform, and they chose not to fix it because it affects how many people are going to be on the platform, how many people will be clicking ads, and ultimately it will affect how much money they'll be making. Now, some of the things that in the testimony were talking about the distractive impact of Facebook has, especially the examples that they gave was the ethnic violence and extreme violence that is happening in Myanmar and Ethiopia as one of the prime examples that were given by the whistleblower. Really, the spreading of misinformation and disinformation and hate speech. We've seen, as you guys know very well, Prime Minister, again, quote unquote, Abiy Ahmed uh, is, uh, is very fond of Facebook. Most of his lies are told either in the parliament during his speeches in parliament or on Facebook, and the ones on Facebook are recorded. He uses many ways of lies, for lack of a better term. Either he will write something in Amharic or Oromifa, Afan Oromo, and then the English version will be completely different, or at least misleadingly different from those versions. That's one type of lie that he utilizes again and again. And two is blatant lies and misinformations to the public through his fake Facebook page. And we've seen his advisors like Daniel Kibrit or Kabret or whatever his name is, really very genocide inciting languages, hate speeches given on social media platforms, referring to other people as a parasite that needs to be removed from the society, and really calling for hate for one group of people and maybe destruction. And the hallmark of genocide and ethnic cleansing that we've seen, especially in the Tigray region, is partly directly the results of this kind of speeches, misinformation, disinformation that is being used by the Ethiopian government. We've seen highly reported extreme violence against women in Tigray region, and all this is the flame to the fire. I mean, the fuel to the fire has been the various comments that's been made on the social media platforms. So I'm thankful that the whistleblower came forward with this information. You know, this is not going to be an easy issue, and it's not going to be going away easily. But hopefully, something will be done to stop at least this hate speeches that's being done by government officials, Ethiopian government officials in particular, in causing this ethnic cleansing and genocide against the people of the people of Tigray and in large part of Oromia. So that's all I wanted to say on that topic.
Ronnie, that mute yourself. T. Thank you. That echo, you need to work on that, and then I'll fix it. Okay. That lead me, T. I would definitely urge you to kind of look at the comment and not to, and then Yasin and people are commenting, and we can include it in here, and I appreciate it. But for me, first, the Facebook. The Facebook had experienced some kind of technical issue. Not just Facebook, actually, is I think Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp. They are all connected. I had a very interesting breakdown. But anyway, as someone who have been harassed by Facebook, as someone, believe it or not, there's a person that sent me a screenshot because they shared Ollaa's discussion. They were blocked for 30. They were restricted for 30 days for sharing on Ollaa. And we're not radical. We never say anything that close the line. But he sent me a screenshot of it. It's like because you shared this page, be restricted for 30 days. You cannot come on Facebook Live. You cannot do anything. We know for sure that it is so sad. One of the top richest machine or organization will work with the authoritarian government, such as Ethiopian government, that is accused of genocide, to crack down on us, to crack down on activists, to crack down on people who are calling attention to international community. Because I've heard of Kadiro's talk yesterday that any Oromo, particularly, and I can only imagine what the Tigray community have went through, but for Oromo, anybody that is activist and have large followers, they've been restricted for no reason. I have 100,000 followers. I can't even get approval. Facebook, when you send them a message, the kind of message they respond to you, there is a person imitating me. I have 89,000 followers. This person is, and there's another one, 30,000. There's another one, 20,000. There's so many people that is imitating me, and then you report to them. They don't do anything because they know, and then Facebook have removed ENSA. I think the Ethiopian intelligence, something close to the U.S. CIA, is Ethiopian intelligence department, have paid thousands of dollars. I have employees who are targeting people, and from what I saw from the whistleblower is that she talked about countries like China, where literally Facebook knowingly that looked the other way, where the authoritarian government will hire people to really target and attack these activists who are opponents of the regime. So I thought I felt kind of like liberated in a way. I mean, we are so far away because Facebook is still targeting lots of people. We are like the small dogs, but they're talking about they work with the regimes, genocidal regime, authoritarian regime, Iran, China, Ethiopia, Myanmar. Facebook knew, but they chose to look the other way. And in fact, they dismantled that small department of 7 people that could possibly have done something. And I thought that was really good. We are way over. I don't know.
I would say a little bit that will kind of transition us to the last topic of the UN Secretary General and the Security Council. It will transition us to that. So I'll just say that. One of the tools that Ethiopian government has been using, and is the high officials, they've been using lies. That's one of the tools. The second tool they've been using is suppressing or discommunicating information. They try to contain information to, if you want to investigate the crime that's happening, they'll shut that down by any means necessary, right? If there's an activist speaking against the crime, they'll shut it down. Not only on Facebook, removing activists, removing their pages, blocking them for 30 days. We've seen them jamming satellites. We've seen them go to, when they left Mekelle, they were bombing bridges, blocking down internets. We've seen it in Oromia under state of emergency, blocking out internet. After Hachalu's death, their number one tool has been blocking. Oh, we're going to investigate these human rights violations. Block. We're going to do this. We're going to expel high UN officials because they're trying to investigate the crime that has been done. Block. Information, block. That's what they've been doing. That's one of their tools. So I'm not surprised what they've been doing on social media, on platforms. They've been blocking activists from speaking out. And of course, one of the meetings, the 10th meetings, and then the second one since the UN official has been expelled from Ethiopia. This is really one of the main things is they're trying to deny access to the general public. They don't want people to know. They're trying to hide the truth, but the truth will never hide forever. It's slowly coming out, and it will all come out in due time. So I think that was a good transition to our next topic of the UN Secretary General briefing the Security Council today. So I'm trying to get you guys to that topic so we can finish with that.
Okay, thank you, T. I guess I'll jump right into Kana. You've seen the UN General Security Council met, I believe will meet today for the 10th time, And I do also see comments from Daniel, say like, yes, I feel ashamed that Daniel Kibret is a speech I did not listen to, so I cannot comment that he is an advisor to the prime minister. I mean, the prime minister himself is the Daniel Kibret. I mean, he says things. What Daniel say eliminate. Abiy have told elected official in Europe that he's gonna wipe out the people today for 100 years. I mean, it's nothing new. But Kana, it's yours. Go ahead, take it, please.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, I would like to say that Ethiopia cannot, declare that UN working staff employees are person of non-granta. That's a legal term that yes, security is no longer granted because they are not diplomatic mission or they are not from other state. UN is, a legal personality under the international law, and according to general convention or that if a state that is a member of United Nations has a complaint against, any staff that UN sent there, they have internal mechanism of reporting, reporting, making a complaint. You cannot declare UN staff that non-person of non-granta. For that matter, a dead of diplomatic mission. How can you do that? Because UN is not a state. They send that, and Ethiopia is again ashamed because they are one of the founders of United Nations. And I saw the reason why Ethiopia did that. One of the reasons is they're saying is a diversion of humanitarian assistance to people, and also this misinformation and politicization of humanitarian assistance. Those are few. It's not a big reason to expel someone. It can be. You can go to some of these UN staff work for human rights organization, and they have the international duty to expose human rights violation. And you cannot go when human rights violation happening before your eyes. You can't close your eyes and say do as a state say. Uh, and some of these expelled officials are working with in collaboration with Ethiopian human rights organization to investigate atrocity in Tigray. What does that tell you? That Ethiopia don't want these people to investigate atrocity that's happening in Tigray once you expel them, and that shows that already they know that investigation is this report is due on 1st November. The investigation from Tigray is due on 1st November. Once you expel people 1 month before report is ready, you already know the outcome is not going to favor you. And I know that maybe today when they are going to do that, General Assembly is talking. They are going to touch on these issues about negotiation and political settlement of this current conflict. And previously, Somali did that, and what UN did was just to replace, the same personality, such people who cannot lie, And I know UN is going to also do that. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Actually, the Ethiopian government did ask the UN to replace, and UN say no, we're not going to replace because they didn't just send random people. This UNICEF people and High Commission of Human Rights. These people are experienced people, seasoned people. The only problem is they're not going to report the way the Ethiopian government wants things to be reported. They're not going to be part of the lying machine that they have. All the religious institutions in Ethiopia, all government officials. There's nobody that's saying the truth. Everybody's saying what the government wants them to say. But this UN officials are different because they're not going to say what the Ethiopian government wants them to say. They want to say what's the facts on the ground. And when the Ethiopian government said, yeah, you can replace them, and the UN has said, no, we're not going to replace these people. These people are going to be the ones coming back and doing their work. So they're trying to reinstate and reverse this decision. Now,
what I mean by replacement Yeah, exactly. What I'm trying to say is that this is a diplomatic and relation that when UN is going to maybe after hard negotiation and they see maybe the security of their workers are at a risk, they are going to get the same person who is independence, who is going to another expose. They are not going to bring another soft person.
I agree. I completely agree. And this briefing is actually requested by Estonia, France, Ireland, Norway, UK, the US. I mean, the entire world is requesting this meeting, and Ethiopia cannot hide. The Ethiopian government cannot hide for very long the crimes that has been committed, and they can't hinder the humanitarian access to the people that are in dire need. Mind you, 5.2 million Tigrayans, that's almost 100% of the population of Tigray, is in need of food assistance. And out of that, 500,000 is declared to be in a state of famine. Think about that. Just for a second. 500,000 people on a verge of famine. what more atrocities can you? I mean, what more do you expect? The Ethiopian government is at the bottom of the bottom, the bottom of the bottom, the bottom of the barrel.
Thank you, T. I'll take my input, but I do also wanna I give my input on that topic. But kinda, I think it's important that we also talk about our own reporting of latest atrocity that we document every day. We just put out a press statement because we have this show get viewed by thousands of people. There's a lot of time people don't get an opportunity to hear about it. And this topic we're covering are very big topic that is widely covered. It is important that we actually talk about what Ollaa is doing, what we do in Australia, who we're meeting in Australia, the plenary meeting that happened in the EU. We work very, very hard, and our people on there work very hard to make this issue far inclusive into the region. It's not just Tigray. I just mentioned earlier that the people of Command, so that I just read the Al Jazeera's reporting. It is so sad. They're trying to wipe them out. They are a small minority, and the government, the Amhara regional government, publicly come and talk about we're gonna wipe out the people of Command, and the international community have not said anything. Al Jazeera is the first international media that covered, and I'm happy. But I think it's important that we cover when we come back. I say talk a little bit about maybe the 2 reports from last week or the 3 reports from last week, and also again I want us to say something about the Eritrea, because these people dare to came out and protest in front of. He lined up all the military he probably have left in the country to terrorize those Eritrea goers. Just like a week before, millions of Ethiopians came and celebrate their holiday peacefully without any presence of military. But when it comes to Oromo, that's why we say the state of Oromo is a direct ad with the Ethiopian empire, because when it comes to Oromo, you have to have your guns out, you have to be ready to shoot. And that's what the Oromos feel. And international community silence, they don't see that, they don't see and they don't hear that. And the frustration part for me, to go back to the topic of UN being expelled, I mean, in a way they are complicit. Yes, they do barely, just like they do a little bit better than what the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission does, obviously, because Ethiopian Human Rights Commission, the election board are extension of Abiy. Abiy picked them and put them there. They kind of working hand in hand. But the war in Tigray have been going on for 11 months. The war in Oromia have been going on for years since Abiy came, and over 2,000 people have came. Human Rights, Amnesty International put out a report of massive extrajudiciary killing in Oromia, even before Hachalu's killing. Massive arrests in Amhara region. Those are the people of Command that were being targeted. But obviously, for whatever reason, they decide to do anything. So I'm really disappointed, because I know that according to, we are waiting for actual data. Oromo Relief Association, and even according to UN data, is 6.7 million Oromos are in desperate need of food. And many of them are almost in a permanent condition, and the UN is not talking about it. So I mean, the UN was barely doing things, and Abiy did not even tolerate that one. He's like, get out of here. So I mean, for me, it's kind of like, slap in the face, and I'm not too sad about that, honestly. I mean, Abiy is trying. He's so shocked by the response that, as you saw, the White House press secretary came out that the US will take unilateral action if he doesn't reverse that. But then you have Kenya yesterday, who just got appointed as a A+1 for Security Council representing Africa, talking about no country should take unilateral action. I mean, I feel like if the West is really interested in a true change in Ethiopia, I mean, Abiy, what he's looking for is he want to go toe-to-toe and fight. He's have made the decision. He either wiped out the Tigray people or he get wiped out. He have told people that, and that is his position. I think the West need to understand that this man is psychotic, he's crazy. The only thing he's scared is the rise up of Oromo movement, Oromo non-violent movement. And the fact that you have people die peacefully protesting. The fact that in Bushoftu, where the second day Eritrea festival took it, the internet was shut down. I don't see media talking about the whole city. There's 4 or 5 million people who went there. In Pimpine, in Addis, it was about 3 million from what I heard. There's more people went to the other festival, and the internet was shut down for the whole 24 hours. Many people were arrested, people were killed, and international media is not talking about that. What the what the Abiy is scared and nervous about is only, honestly, is about the Oromo mass movement, because that's what brought him to power, and that's what took out the most powerful military in African continent, is the one that took out is Oromo movement. I think if they want to see change, they have to go there with the UN Security Council meeting that for the 10th time. And honestly, I don't see this going anywhere. It's just going to be, because for as long as you have Russia and China blocking it, look what happened through Syria. Assad committed the highness. He chemically wiped out children and women. Today he says he's elected president of Syria. Why? Because China and Russia blocked it. So I don't see UN Security Council doing anything. They're just going to be a joke. I think they're just going to meet like, oh, just warning. I think the US, what they need to do is take action. And the big country like UK and Ireland, UK gives millions of dollars to train the police in Ethiopia. They need to stop the funding. I mean, this funding they're talking about, we're going to cut it. It has not hit yet. He needs to feel that. I think that's what's missing. Kana, I would like to give you a chance to talk a little bit about the report that we have. And then we can conclude their way over.
Yeah, I just want to take 30 seconds to talk about, shelling on civilian, destroying civilian homes, and, even, destroying, indiscriminately shooting of civilian. Of that report from the command and the civilian, from the camp collaborating, that is a violation of international humanitarian law and war crime, and a serious, international crime that, someone must be held responsible for that. And that has been happening, and the government justifying such action by saying they are looking for rebels, and rebels are not, hiding within civilian in town and also in shops. And when you destroy civilian homes and shops and villages that unharmed civilians are living in there, I don't think rebels live there. And if you look for the real rebels, you can go and look for them. But doing that is going to, encourage more people to join armed force and, armed struggle. And if I go back to, a report from Oromia, we weekly get report, mass arrest, political detainees who are tortured, in jail, who have not, they are not get the fair representation. They are not taken to court. They are denied the justice, access to justice, definitely. And then I put you in concentration, I beat you, I torture you, and then I don't take you to the court. That already shows that, there is a gross human rights violation. And one of the issues concerning, in Ethiopia, that currently top priority is the extrajudicial killing, enforced disappearance, taking someone, and then also illegal, detention because your son or your family members joined, army struggle. And every time, taking also young people from prison, shooting them, dumping them in the forest is one of the, currently top priorities, the human rights violation, and nothing is going to report. And I want to say that people are not reporting these serious, human rights violations. The people need education, need awareness, creation of awareness, and and then they fear to speak up. They're not giving data. I just over this weekend, like you were saying, I was saying, you get a lot of people who are jailed, who are, said they were jailed, they were detained because of race, and full data is not coming out. And that's my concern, because as a human rights defender or as an organization, working for organization that, report human rights violation, just telling, giving me 10 names who are detained is not enough. I don't know much information about that. And also, just posting them on Facebook is not enough. So we really need to gather data and, having the complete data. Yeah, I just want to say, stop it there.
I just want to add a couple of things. My sister from across the pond told Tutufa Said a couple of nights ago a very great statement. She said, the reason that I have a military parade on Eritrea is not to intimidate you or scare you, is because they're scared themselves. They're scared of the Keros. The Keros have showed us in the past what they can do. You guys remember when they went on a stage and said, down, down Wayani, what happened? Now on Eritrea, you heard it. They say, down, down Abiy. And the Queros are the most patient people that I know. Very patient. The only time they come out and say those things is when they're tired, sick, and tired of what's going on. And it's very clear on the Recha festival that the Quero has told us clearly that they're tired, they're sick and tired of this government, and they're ready to topple this administration. That's what they said. They took to the street saying down Abiy. And you guys have known in public, Abiy Ahmed has made a statement saying, whoever dies will die. What we started will continue. But you guys know from history, Queros are not scared of death. They've been standing in front of game barrels and speaking against power, standing with the truth. And they're starting to do that. And the UN meeting, the Security Council meeting might not go nowhere. But the popular uprising, like the Quero uprising, is going to be the biggest force that will bring the government down to its knees, and very soon. I just want to say I'm very proud of the Queros and the Carres that were on the street, brave enough to stand in front of this cruel government. And also, I wanted to say happy Recha to everybody. The very festive moment. I love to this day. I just go on social media platforms and just looking at all the beautiful cultural attires and cultural celebrations. I can't wait for next year because this is bringing Oromoma to the forefront. And as I think Sena said earlier, that a lot of people, even people that in the past were saying a lot of garbage about Erecha, are coming out saying happy Erecha, or being quiet, at least at the very least. So Erecha humna Kenya. That's what I'd like to say.
For me, thank you, boss. Again, Kana, I guess I'll start the part you mentioned that a lot of time, one of the challenges we found in our community, and I think this is the part that I even like to talk on the final Oromo, but next week I think we have to, because we talk a lot about reporting, because I feel like some of the stuff that we're talking is like reporting. It doesn't really benefit the people. But we're coming out with a joint press statement with about 13 Oromo advocacy group. This is going to be our second joint statement. We've been working together for the last 3 months. I think June is when we start working closely, from Australia to Europe to Canada and here in America. We've been working together. So what I say to these Oromos who are online, born and raised in America, who feel comfortable speaking, writing, and communicating in English, don't be just a consumer. You have to be also a leader. You have to be a champion. Like Kana say that posting a picture of somebody hurt, writing a name of 20 people on a piece of paper, posted on Facebook, yes, maybe 400, 500 people will share, but it dies there. It goes nowhere. It's just when another news comes, it just bears down and down and down, and that's the end of it. And if you remember, Jawari used to post into when they changed 2014 to 2018, there was so many information, but what are those names? What is the data of those names who were murdered by the TPLF regime at the time? Where are they? It doesn't. So what I urge our youth is that if you have extended family back home, if you know somebody back home, please help them give us accurate information, because we cannot just go off with tame names. We need more. So that, I think, is next week. We'll talk in detail, like in a final Romo, to kind of why is it so important that we get this information forward. On the other hand, just to add on what he say is that, if the US, if Europe, if the international community is really interested in change, in democracy, in preserving life, in stopping Abiy, you don't need to give gun to anybody. You don't need to send trained troops to go on the ground, get rid of Abiy. You have a brave youth who are willing who have seen their friends, seen their family member murdered by the Abiy regime, and they still dare to protest. The government shut down internet. Why is the U.S. embassy have not said anything about it? I'm an American citizen. I lived here more in my life than ever anywhere else. That I know America law more than any other country's law. So, like, where is the international community? I'm so disappointed by organization like Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, that is like they work so hard to bring attention to what's happening in Tigray, which is good. I'm glad that happened because they're facing different type of violation, or they have a government that is working with Amhara region, Eritrea, and federal government trying to wipe them out, and that's great. But the thing is, that doesn't scare Abiy. He have said it. He said people can die if they want to. They can stand up in front of protest, but he said the mission will go forward. And in fact, that's what he did. That he didn't care. I mean, Security Council. I mean, UN was hardly doing the bare minimum. He could not even stand at the bare minimum. He expelled them. And now he's saying he's not gonna change back because all of them have already left the country, and some of them are already outside the country. When he announced that, I think it's so important that what really changed Abiy's course is the Cairo movement. It is what brought Abiy to power. It is one power that Abiy cannot sustain. Abiy is obviously interested in armed struggle. He want to go far because you know what? He's a government. He have the capacity, capability. You seen the regional is dictators, and all of them they kind get each other's back. You know what I'm saying? Like they like to keep the status quo as it is. So I think what they need to do is they need to invest in a non-violent and amplify. You don't have to. The non-violent movement is not asking for armed struggle. They're not asking for anything. What they're asking is when there was this non-violent movement, why is the international media did not cover where the internet was shut down in there, where many people were arrested, many people were killed? Nobody's talking about that. I think the lack of international media is really giving Abiy the green light to continue commit ethnic cleansing in Oromia, against Command, against Benishangul Gumuz people, against the Gambella, against now Somalia is going to come too because ONLF was dropped from the election. It can only get bad. So I think that is, in my opinion, we are like, this show is definitely more than 30 minutes. But anyway, let me end it there. For next week, my recommendation would be like, we really should come up. You are the host next week, so you come up, you give us a topic, and then our guest, could not make it for today as well. But my suggestion would be, I have a couple of people who are interested to come. Maybe we'll have them come on our show. I think we'll talk about it, like what do the youth need to do in Canada, in Australia, in a different country, what they do. Rather than just talking, we need practicality. There is this joint statement that's coming with the All Oromo Advocacy Group. We need to take that one and advocate for our people. Advocacy matter. Don't be fooled by somebody just because they go on social media and bang the horse big time and make all the noise. No, advocacy matter, will always matter. If lobbying did not matter, Ethiopian government would not continue to hire lobbyists. If lobbying did not matter, it does not go as far as even Chinese organization, Chinese business invest in millions of dollars to stop this because it benefits them. The US have zero interest to go put in the boots on the ground, and they don't need to if they just have to cut what they say. And this sanction, I'm disappointed it still did not come out yet. That I think Abiy is taking the West as bluffing. They say a lot of things and he's not taking them serious. And I think if they want to take serious, they just have to start with the youth. They just have to start with the democratic movement that brought change. The people have the right to decide their destiny. With that, I wanted to thank you guys so much. If you guys have any last word, please feel free. If not, I wanted to thank all of our audience who are with us, especially Daniel, who's been very, very actively commenting. He said Recha is very unfortunate. It was not celebration, but it was concentration camp. He says sorry for late response. It's a connection problem. Thank you, Daniel. And of course, we know that's very, very true. It is, as you saw, the military parade, the machine gun in the eve of Recha, and to do everything. The reason they allow that to happen in Addis Ababa or at Finne is because of the international presence, but they could not tolerate that in a short term. Nevertheless, people spoke loud and clearly. They say down Abiy, free political prisoners, free Bakala Garba, free Jawar Mohammed. They say that Maro is our leader. So they say loud and clearly they no longer tolerate Abiy. The sad thing is right now those people on the camera are being hunted down. So with that, we'll leave it. And for all of you guys, go ahead.
Diplomacy is not the strong suit of the Abiy administration. I think they've lost every diplomatic relationship you can think of, even including with Eritrea. So the biggest losers are the Ethiopian administration as far as diplomatic relations go.
All right. With that, we'll conclude, and you guys have a nice week and see you next week.